This is Algebra 1 Keystone Review Part 4. We're going to talk about radicals and exponents. So we're going to start with a radical or a square root, and we're going to simplify the square root of 45. And that doesn't mean punch it in your calculator and get a decimal equivalent. We're going to factor 45, and we're looking for all prime numbers. So 9 times 5 will give us 45. 5 is prime, so we're done with that. We're going to break 9 down, 3 times 3. And in order to come out of the square root, we know there's an index of 2 there. We're looking for numbers in pairs of 2's. So it looks like I have a pair of 3's. So that means the 3 is going to come outside of the radical bar. And it looks like we have a 5 left over. We don't use the 9 because we already broke that down. So that means the 5 has to go back inside the radical. If you want to check if you did it correctly, what you do is you square the number outside, because there had to be 2 of them for it to come out. So I take 3 squared, or 3 times 3 is 9, and then multiply it times the inside. 9 times 5, I'm back to 45. Let's try 28. It's an even number, so a lot of times I just start with 2. 14's even, so I'm going to use 2 again. And 7's prime, so it looks like we're done. We're looking for pairs, so it looks like I have a pair of 2's. Every pair you bring one number outside. Everything left over goes back inside the radical. Again, I don't reuse the 14 because I broke that down. If I want to check if I'm right, I square the number outside. So 2 squared, or 2 to the second power, is 4. 4 times 7, we're back to 28. Okay. And here's our first keystone practice problem. What you could do is punch it in your calculator, get a decimal, punch all the answers in your calculator, and see which one gives you the same decimal. You can use their answers and square the number outside. 6 squared is 36. Multiply that by 2, see if you get your 108. That might be a quicker way, or we could just do it the way we just learned. 108, we're going to factor that. 2 goes in there 54 times. It's still even, so I'm going to go 2 again. Goes in there 27 times. 3 times 9. 3 times 3. We're looking for pairs. We got a pair of 2's. We got a pair of 3's. And we have a 3 left over, so that goes inside. 2 times 3 is 6. And 3 stays inside. It looks like our answer is B. If we wanted to check it, we can square the 6. 6 squared is 36. 36 times 3 gets us back to the 108. Or if you change them all to decimals, you could punch your calculator 108, square root of 108. It should be the same as 6 times the square root of 3 as a decimal equivalent. This one's a little bit trickier. It says the expression 2 times the square root of 19x simplifies to 6 root 19. What must the value of x? Well, it must be the value of x. So they're saying somehow they went from having a 2 out in front to a 6 out in front. That means they brought a 3 out. In order for them to bring a 3 out, they must have had 2 of the 3's. So we know that we must have had 19 times 3 times 3 for them to cross those 3's out and bring them outside. So if we had 3 times 3 inside, that's the same as having 9 inside. They must have broke their 9 down. Now, I have a little image of our TI-30 because calculator, that was one of our test-taking tricks. You can punch this right in your calculator. I'll show you how to do it, but if you use a calculator, you're guaranteed you're going to get the right answer. So if you use your TI-30, let me just make this a little bit bigger so you could see it better. Oops. Okay, so you're going to enter it just the way you see it. So you're going to have an open parenthesis, 3, and if you remember, this ABC button is going to give you your fraction, and then 4, and then you close your parenthesis, and then to get an exponent, you use this up arrow key here, press 4, press equals. What's going to happen is you're going to get a decimal. And you can see the answers are, a lot of them are fractions, and you want a fraction, not a decimal. So again, it's hard to see, but in blue, above this probability button, it says F to D fraction to decimal, and it works the other way around to decimal to fraction. And it's in blue, which means you have to press the blue second button. So once you get that decimal on your calculator, you press second, F to D, and it's going to convert it to a fraction for you, and that's going to give you your answer. If you don't want to do that, let me just show you the way. If you remember, we can distribute that 4, the exponent 4. What they're really saying here is this is 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4 times 3/4. Or you can think of it as distributing that 4. It's 3 to the 4th power over 4 to the 4th power. And 3 to the 4th power, I'm going to punch that in my calculator. 3 up arrow 4 is 81. And 4 to the 4th power is 256. And there's our answer, okay? But if you entered it in your calculator just like that, changed your decimal back to a fraction, you would have gotten the same answer. Same thing for this one. There's no reason you can't enter that in your calculator. You enter 5, use the up arrow key. You want to use the negative sign. Don't use the minus. You'll get an error message. -3, and press equals. If you get a fraction, go second, fraction to decimal, and it'll change that decimal back to a fraction for you. If you want to do it mathematically, we know we can't have a negative exponent. To get rid of a negative exponent, you want to take the reciprocal of the base, in this case 5. And if it's a whole number, you know it's really over 1. So when we take the reciprocal, we're going to get 1 over 5, and now my exponent turns into a +3. And so it looks like we're looking for A. All right. This one, they want the answer in terms of an exponent. So if we punch this in our calculator, we're going to get a big number. So this one we might be better off just doing it by hand. So if exponents have the same base, in this case they all have 3, what we do is we add their exponents. This is saying we have 2 3's, this is saying we have 3 3's, and this is saying we have 4 3's. So if I had 2 3, 4 3's, and 3 3's, that's going to give me 9 3's, or 3 to the 9th. Remember, you just add their exponents if they have the same base. And that's divided by 3 to the 6th power. And if that's like if you have 9 3's, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all over 6 3's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see we're left with 3 to the 3rd. And if you remember, the shortcut is you just subtract. When you're multiplying exponents with the same base, you add them. When you're dividing exponents with the same base, you're subtracting. So we're looking for 3 to the 3rd. Okay, this one, they're looking for a number. So I can simply enter it in my calculator just the way you see it. Open parenthesis, -2, don't use a -2, use a -2, up arrow 3, close parenthesis, up arrow 2, press equals, and it's going to give me the answer. Or our exponent rules say when you have an exponent to an exponent, you're multiplying. So that gives me -2 to the 6th power, which is -2 times -2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to use my calculator for that. So I have -2 to the 6th power. And that's telling me it's 64, +64. All right. Okay, these ones have different bases. And our answer is in terms of an exponent. So I don't want to just punch it in my calculator because my calculator is going to give me a big number. So we're going to use the rules of exponents. When you have an exponent to an exponent, 2 to the 5th to the 4th power, you're going to multiply. So that gives me 2 to the 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 to the 5th to the 4th is going to be also 20. And it looks like they just left it like that. Okay, it's going to give us a big answer, so they left it in exponential form. All right, that covers radicals and exponents. Please try the practice problems. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.